Brain. The structure of the brain, presented by Jorge Andrés Rojas Ardila and Natalia Gutierrez González. Table of contents. Number 1. Main layers of the brain. Number 2. Parts and functions of the layer of the brain. Number 3. Brain hemisphere. Number 4. Brain loops and their mental process. Main layer of the brain. The human brain is one of the most complex systems on Earth. Every component of the brain must work together in order to keep its body functioning. The brain and the spinal cord make up the Hercules nervous system, which, alongside the peripheral nervous system, is responsible for the regulate and bodily function. Meninges are a set of the proliferative layer located between the hippocampus nervous system and its bone protection, both at the level of the brain and spinal cord. Specifically, a series of three membranes can be found located one below the other, receiving from more external to internal the name of durameter, arachnoid, and paymeter. Diameter. In addition, the vein are remote meninge. The diameter is the heart and most contents of the three ovally ball, and is also the closest of the outside. Arachnoid, located in an intermediate zone between diameter and paymeter. Arachnoid is managed, named after it because of its morphology resembles to a spider, its grid configuration. Paymeter, the innermost, most flexibly and most in contact with the structure of the nervous system, is the paymeter.
Number 3. Cerebral hemispheres. Cerebral hemispheres. The brain is made up of two lobes, the right half called the right hemispheres and the left half called the left hemispheres. Both hemispheres are connected to each other by a structure called the corpus callosum, made up of millions of nerve fibers that travel through the brain. 4. Brain valves. Brain valves. The four lobes of the brain are found in both the left and right hemispheres, being an example of the symmetry that governs the general arrangement of the central nervous system. Frontal lobe. It is one of the most extensive structures, occupying approximately 1/3 of the total brain surface. Thus, this lobe contains a series of structures necessary for the preservation of executive functions, among which are attention, inferior frontal junction, problem solving, orbitofrontal cortex, mental flexibility, basal ganglia, and anterior cingulate cortex, and planning for the future frontolateral region. Parietal lobe. This lobe is located behind the frontal and in front of the occipital, as well as above the temporal. It contains the postcentral gyrus, where the primary somatosensory cortex is located, which processes very different physical sensations: temperature, touch, position of the body in space, and experience of pain, rating the great variety of specific receptors for each one of them. The second, for its part, coordinates important cognitive processes, especially episodic memory, and also contributes to self-reflection and awareness of the individual in their relationship with the environment. Temporary lobe. This lobe is separate from the frontal and parietal lobes by another of the great furrows of the brain, the lateral fissures. This area is related to its reception and understanding. Subdate a lesion in product a fluentile aphasia, alteration in understanding spoke and written words. Occipital lobe. This lobe extends from the posterior region of our brain to the parieto-occipital sulcus, which serves as the dividing line between it and the parietal and occipital lobes. This region is basic for the processing of visions and has specific areas for each and one of its sensitive properties. It also contributes to memory storage thanks in visual mode.